jurors, please, sir.
Okay, I'm Joe Portier.
And Mr. Portier, what county do you live in?
I live in Irvin County, 376 Magnolia Road, Ocilla, Georgia, Irvin County.
How long have you lived at that particular residence?
About 12 years.
I'm going to scoot back here. I'm going to turn this down so the jurors can see you, sir.
Okay.
Back in 2005, were you living at that same residence?
No, ma'am.
Where were you living in 2005?
343 Park Street, Ocilla, Georgia.
And where is that in connection to this particular, to the courthouse? How far away is that?
About 3 blocks in that direction, I guess. I don't know what direction I'm sitting in. They're west.
Okay. Who else lived with you at that residence on
Pardon?
Park? Who else lived with you at that residence on Park?
My wife,
What is your wife's name?
Myrtle.
Now, Mr. Portier, you're a gentleman, so I can ask you this. How old are you?
Next month I'll be 80.
Your wife, Miss Myrtle, is she still living?
Yeah, but she's in the nursing home. Been there about a year.
And is that because of physical issues or something else?
No, mentally.
What is Miss Myrtle's memory like at this point?
I didn't hear you.
Sorry, what is Miss Myrtle's memory like at this point?
It's not.
Okay. Does she recognize you when you go to see her?
I believe she does, because she calls me Papa.
Okay. What about your children? Does she recognize your children?
No, Walter went out there yesterday and she didn't recognize him.
Did you know someone by the name of Tara Grinstead?
I did.
How did you know Tara Grinstead?
She was my next door neighbor.
Okay. How long did Tara live next door to you and Miss Myrtle?
I'd say 3 or 4 years.
And did you know her before she moved into that house next door to you?
I knew her of them a little bit.
Did you know Mr. Billy and Miss Connie Grinstead when they lived here?
I knew of them. I wasn't really familiar with them that much, but I knew them.
Now, Mr. Joe, do you work still?
I do, every day.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm with the CPA firm in Ocilla.
And how long have you worked at that particular CPA firm?
60 years.
And the same one?
Same work, same one.
What's the name of that CPA firm?
It's changed several times, but now it's just Meets CPA.
What do you do with that CPA firm?
Do audits and do taxes, mainly taxes.
And would you have been working, I guess, at that same place in October 2005?
I was.
When Tara moved in next door to you and Miss Myrtle, were you just neighbors or did you get to know each other? What was the nature of your relationship?
Well, after a while, after she moved in there, she was, in and out of our house, and she become about like our daughter. Because we saw her a lot more than we did our own kids.
Yes, sir. Would you say, do you see how many times a week? How many times a week did you see Tara?
About every day.
Do you know if back in 2005 if Tara had a cell phone?
I gather she did.
Okay. Did you have a cell phone in 2005 that you can remember?
I did.
What about a house phone? Did you and Miss Myrtle have a house phone?
Yes, we did.
And then did you have a phone at your office as well?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to test your recollection. Do you know what your office number was back in 2005?
Yeah, same one it is now.
And what's that?
468-7475.
Okay. What about your cell phone? Do you know what your cell phone number was back in 2005?
I'm not sure whether it's the same number I got. I think it was. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, what number do you think it was?
I don't really know. I mean, now and then, I hate to give it out, but it's 424-5255 now.
Well, you already told us where you live, so I figured you were okay with your cell phone going out. What about your house phone back in 2005?
It was 468-5729.
Would Tara have known all of those phone numbers for you to be able to get in touch with you?
Yes,
And did you have Tara's home phone back then?
I'm sure we did.
Now, I want to direct your attention to October 22nd, 2005. Do you recall the Sweet Potato Festival pageant going on that day?
I did.
And how do you recall that particular pageant?
Well, they was having a beauty contest.
Okay. Was anyone you know in that pageant that evening?
My little granddaughter.
Okay. How old would she have been at the time?
She was about 8.
Did you ever go over to Tara's house that Saturday?
I did. Me and my son was building deer stands out at the farm, and when I come in for lunch, my wife told me Tara had been up wanting me to come over to her house and see Mary Beth with her hair and makeup.
And did you go see?
I did. I walked over there to see her.
And what was your reaction to that?
I told Tara I didn't like it.
Why didn't you like it, sir?
Well, it made her look like an 18-year-old and not an 8-year-old.
Okay. Do you recall if at any point that day Tara came to your house?
No, she come over before I got there and told my wife to tell me to come over and see Tara.
Okay. Now, after you left Tara's house that day, after you had seen Mary Beth, did you see Tara anymore?
No.
Did you speak with Tara anymore?
No.
You mentioned something earlier about being at your farm Saturday morning. Can you tell us a little bit about that, sir? What kind of farm do you have?
It's about 350 acres west of town.
And back in 2005, I know you said you were at the farm in the morning. Did you go back to the farm in the afternoon?
I went back out to lunch and finished building deer stands.
What did you do after you finished building the deer stands?
Come back home.
Did you go to the Sweet Potato Festival pageant that night?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know, did your wife, Miss Myrtle, go to the pageant that night?
No, she didn't.
Do you recall at any point that weekend if you saw Tara's car home after you saw her at her house that afternoon on Saturday?
I don't remember looking. We're talking about 15 years ago. I know it was there that Monday morning.
You know what about Monday? I'm sorry.
I said I know it was there that Monday morning.
Okay. And how do you know it was there that Monday morning?
Well, we went over to the house after I got a couple of calls.
Okay.
Looking for her.
Now, sitting here today, do you recall who it was who initially notified you that they couldn't find Tara?
What, at the school?
Whoever. Who was the first person who said something to you about not being able to find Tara that Monday morning?
The policeman from Perry, Georgia, Mr. Dykes, he had called me that morning before I went to work wanted me to go over there and check on Tara. He said he had come down that night, and that would have been Sunday night.
Yes, sir.
And he knocked on the door and knocked on the window, and they couldn't get her to come to the door, or couldn't get her to answer the window. So he was concerned about her and wanted me to go and check on her, because he knew we had a key to her house.
Yes, sir. Why did you have a key to Tara's house?
Tara had given it to my wife one weekend that she went off and forgot that she might have left some candles on. So she gave my wife a key so we could check on stuff like that for her. And then I would check on her cat and her dog.
Now, let me ask you this. I know it's been a while, but if there were missed calls on Tara's phone from Monday morning that showed they came from your office phone, do you know of anybody else in your office that would have been calling Tara that Monday morning?
I do not.
Okay. So, if there are phone calls from your office to her house that morning, do you think that may have been you calling her?
No, because I never did go to the office that Monday morning.
Okay. So you don't think that if there were phone calls from your office to her home phone that morning, you don't think you're the one that made those?
That Monday morning?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Do you know anybody else in your office who had a relationship or a friendship with Tara back in 05?
We had so many people that leave and come, and I don't know of any.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. I'm afraid I'm going to need some more assistance. As you sit down, get your help for just a moment. Mr. Portier, I'm going to play you an audio from State's Exhibit 20, and I'm going to ask you if you recognize the voice on it, okay? Am I talking too loud for you? I feel like I'm screaming at you, but...
No, I'm a little hard to hear anyway.
Well, I apologize to everybody else when I'm screaming.
Sunday, 11:44 p.m.
Not this one. Hold on.
I drove all the way down here 12 o'clock at night. And he came on me to a different cell up here. That's very considerate of you to me. Monday, 12:04 a.m. Monday, 12:27 a.m.
Here's this message. She please call me back. Trying to call me last minute all night. I haven't been able to connect. So I've been worried. Please give me a call.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Could you hear that last voicemail message, or that last message?
Yeah.
And I know it's been a while, but did you recognize that voice?
I don't.
Okay. Now I'm going to skip forward, see if I can get to the right spot.
31 a.m. Hey, just gonna get on this one there.
What about that voice? Do you recognize that
I
voice?
don't.
You don't recognize that voice. Okay. So you don't know if that's your voice on that phone?
No, it wasn't me.
That wasn't you that we just heard. Okay. So you don't recall calling Tara that morning at her house?
No.
Fair enough. So tell us, after you got a phone call from Keith Dykes, what did you do, if anything?
Of course, I told him I wasn't going over to her house unless I found out that she wasn't there.
Yes, sir.
So I called Bobby Connor, who was principal of the school at the time,
Yes, sir.
on his cell phone, and he was out of town. I think he was in Atlanta at the school meeting.
Yes, sir.
But he got in touch with somebody over at the school for me and found out that her class didn't have her teacher in it. There was, and she weren't at school and reported at school.
So when you found out that she had not made it to school that morning, what did you do, if anything?
I called my wife at the nursing home and told her to come home.
Okay.
Something was wrong with Tara's house, and we needed the key to get in. So she come on home and got the key.
Is that the kind of, was it normal for Tara just not to show up to work?
I wouldn't think so.
Had you ever known her not to show up to work before without calling in?
I'm sure she wouldn't.
Okay. Now, Did Miss Myrtle come home and get the key for you?
Yes.
Did you wind up going into the house, Tara's house, that morning?
Yeah, me and my wife and I believe we was joined with maybe Larry Harper and Dina. We all went in the house.
Okay. Now, who are Larry and Dina Harper?
Well, Larry was Marcus's daddy, and he's deceased now.
Yes, sir.
And Marcus was her old boyfriend.
Now,
And Dina was a principal at one of the schools over there.
who was the first person to walk in Miss Grinstead's house that morning when y'all went over there?
Me.
And what door did you go in to her house?
The what?
What door did you use to walk into
The front
house?
door.
The front door. Where did you go after you walked in the front door?
Well, we just kind of went up looking,
Okay.
trying to find her.
Now, I know this is probably a silly question, but I have to ask it. Did y'all find Miss Grinstead that morning?
No.
Do you recall, and again, I know it's been a long time, but do you recall if you ever looked in her vehicle?
Not at that particular time, because we were looking for a key.
Okay. Now, at any point, did you see a glove in the yard?
Yeah, after we found that she wasn't in the house, I walked back out on the porch and called our chief of police, Billy Hancock.
Yes, sir.
I was on the city council at the time, and I had his cell phone number, and I called him on the cell phone and was telling him what was going on there, that we couldn't find Tara.
Yes, sir.
And that's when I noticed the glove out there and about 5 feet off our front porch. And of course, Billy, or Mr. Hancock,
Yes, sir.
he come right on, him and a couple of policemen come right on there to her house.
Yes, sir.
And when they got out of the car and walked up, I told Billy he might want to bag that glove.
Yes, sir. Now,
And I told him there was a couple of cigarettes butts, 2 of her by her car that he might want to get.
okay. Judge Matt, first witness. Sure. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 42 and ask you if you recognize that.
Yeah,
How do you recognize that?
that's the glove that was laying there in her yard.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate depiction of what it looked like that morning when you first saw it?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I would move the tender of States 42 into evidence.
Objection. Submitted without objection. Thank you, State 42. Still help us with our screen, please, Mr. Watson. Thank you.
If I do this right, the gloves will show up on the screen in front of me.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all see that?
So looking at States 42, again, is this what the glove would have looked like when you saw it that morning? That screen right in front of you.
Yes.
Did you touch that glove?
No.
Now, I'm also going to show you what's already been entered into evidence, States 41. Oop, that's loud. Can you see the glove in this picture?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you first walked over from your house to Tara's house, did you see that glove laying out in the yard?
I did not when I walked over. I wasn't looking. I was, had my mind on finding her over to her house.
And show you States 40. Do you know what you're looking at in States 40? It's kind of dark, but can you see what you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
In front of her house.
That was her house. Looking at States 40, which side did you live on?
On the right.
So it's backwards, so if I get my right and left wrong, apologize. But is that going to be this side?
Yes.
Okay. So when you walked over, do I understand that you would have walked from essentially the front of your house to her front door?
Yes.
And the glove, would it have been laying in essentially this area right here?
Yes.
Okay. And when was it that you did notice the glove? That you didn't notice it when you first got there?
When I was standing on the front porch calling Billy,
Okay.
just looking around, I saw her.
Did I just hear you say you were sitting, like you sat down on the porch when you
No,
called you?
I'm standing.
Standing. Okay, just want to make sure if I heard you right.
I don't think she had any chairs out on her porch.
Okay. Well, I didn't know you could have sat on the steps. I was just wondering. Now, did the chief arrive? Did Chief come over once you called him?
Yes,
And did you allow them to go into Tara's house? I mean, you have the key, right?
yes.
When you were in Tara's house, did you open any drawers in her house? Like bedroom drawers?
No, I didn't. No drawers.
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay. Did you touch anything in the house that you can recall?
I'm sure we did. Probably touched everything.
Okay. What about the front door when you walked in? Did you have to open the front door to go in? Touch it?
Yeah, it's locked.
No, you said it was locked. So I'm going to show you. Let's see if it's up here. Yes. This is actually Defense 1. Do you recognize what you're looking at there, sir? It's okay if you don't.
Not really. I mean, it just looked like a lock. I mean,
Okay.
the
So
door.
I'm going to point you up here. Can you see what I'm pointing at there on the door?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What does that appear to be? Make you put your glasses on.
I don't know.
Okay. So let me ask this a little differently. Do you even recall sitting here how many locks Tara had on her door?
I thought she had the one, the entrance.
Would that be this one down here?
Yeah,
Okay. So do you even remember any locks other than this one?
that's the only one I remember. That's the only one I had to unlock to get into the house anyway.
Do you ever recall having acknowledged that Tara would have used any other lock when she was home alone other than the one we just looked at?
No, I wouldn't have any idea.
We'll talk to you a little bit about Tara's dog. Do you know Tara had a dog?
Yes,
And do you recall that dog's name?
Dolly.
Dolly. Do you remember anything specifically about Dolly from that weekend that Tara went missing?
Not really. My wife said she heard Dolly barking that night more than usual.
Yes, sir. Did you hear it though?
I'm a little hard of hearing anyway. When I go to sleep, I'm usually asleep.
Okay. Now, do you recall seeing Dolly on Monday morning when you went to check Tara's house?
Yes.
And where was Dolly at the time?
She was in the backyard, fenced in the backyard.
Did you find anything odd about that?
No, because usually that's where she stayed most of the time.
Okay.
Tara would let her in the house once in a while, but not too often.
Yes, sir.
Because she had a cat in the house
Okay. Tara did?
named Herman Talmadge.
Okay. And other than Tara not being there, did you notice anything unusual about her house that morning?
Not really, just stuff, with 30 girls in and out of that house.
Yes, sir.
Clothes, thrown around, make jewelry thrown around, left around.
Now, I asked you this earlier, but I want to go back to that. After you didn't find Tara in the house, do you recall if you ever looked in Tara's car?
Yes, I think Larry Harper found a set of keys.
Okay.
And I don't know why we wanted to look in the trunk. We wanted to open the trunk and look.
Yes, sir. To your recollection, though, sitting here, do you recall if her car was locked or unlocked that day?
I don't.
But now you just mentioned a second ago about Mr. Larry Harper. Do you have a recollection of him specifically looking for keys?
Why was he looking?
You just said that he was looking for keys. So my question is, do you remember that? Do you remember him looking for the keys to her car that morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recall if you found anything on Tara's door when you got there that morning?
No. Let me back up. I did find a note.
A note. Do you recall who that note was from?
Yeah,
Who was that?
from Mr. Dykes.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 43, looks like. Get you, and actually we'll take it out so you can take a look at it better. Ask you to take a look at that for me.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
How do you recognize that?
That was what was on her door.
Okay. And sorry, when you say her, whose door was that?
Terrace.
What did you do with that particular card after you found it that morning?
I don't know where I give that to Billy or who I might have given it to. I give it to somebody.
I'm going to show you the back of that particular item. Can you see that on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
And can you read that for us, please?
I come to see you. You are something me worry about you, making me worry about you.
Okay. Is this the note that you found that day?
Yes.
By the time you found this, had you spoken with Captain Dykes or had you not spoken with him?
No, he called me before I actually left the house that morning.
Okay.
And I had told him that he had told me he had come down and knocked on the door that night.
That Sunday, before the Monday we've been talking about, I'm going to talk about that Sunday a little bit more. Were you home that Sunday? The Sunday before y'all reported her missing, were you home?
The Sunday before,
Yes, sir.
I'm sure I was.
Okay. Do you have any specific recollection sitting here today about anything unusual that Sunday?
15 years ago, I don't know. We spent a lot of time out at the farm on the weekend. I built a swimming pool, and I had what I call my barn.
Yes, sir.
With big screen TV, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and so forth. We had parties out there.
Yes, sir.
We'd spent a lot of weekends out there, and I could have been out there.
So, again, sitting here today, do you recall anything unusual about that Sunday? No. And sitting here today, do you even know if you were home that Sunday?
That's right.
And just a moment, Judge. I believe that's all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Portier. My name is John Merchant. I represent Ryan Duke. We met briefly before you testified today, but I have a few additional questions for you. Okay? So let's start where you ended. You said you didn't recall what you were doing Sunday. Would a summary of the GBI interview that you gave assist you in refreshing your recollection? Yeah, approach, Judge. Sir, if you want to turn to page 9.
Let's see where the pages are numbered.
At the bottom left, sir.
Yeah, I got it.
Can you read that highlighted portion to yourself and see if that refreshes your recollection? You let me know when you're done, sir.
I'm trying to figure out if this is Sunday before.
If you look at the first sentence of that paragraph, does that assist you in refreshing whether it was the Sunday we're talking about here, 23rd?
Okay.
So did that assist you in remembering, sir?
I really don't. But I guess if this is, I know I did go to Lowe's and buy a new lock.
Hold on, sir. Let me go ahead and ask you some questions now.
Okay.
If that refreshes your recollection a little bit.
Okay.
So did you go to Lowe's that day?
Yeah, that afternoon, yeah.
What time did you go?
It must have been, after at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It looks like you went to work on some deer stands that evening. Is that true?
Yeah, we worked on deer stands.
And you were working on those until about 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah, probably.
So as you sit here, the best estimate as to when you might have gotten home from doing all that, so right around 7:30 or 8 o'clock.
Probably, yeah.
So based on that, is it fair to say you really don't have any knowledge about people coming or going from Miss Grinstead's house during the day or in the evening on Sunday?
That's right.
So you had the only spare key to her house, right?
Pardon?
You had the only spare key to Miss Grinstead's house?
Yeah, my wife did. I guess that was on the spare key. We had one anyway.
And when you got to the front door was locked.
Yes.
When you put the key in, you were able to unlock the door and walk in the house.
Right.
You didn't have to pry it open, push it open, break anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Did you see any signs of forced entry on the door casing at all?
Of course, I wasn't looking, but I didn't see anything.
That's probably something that would have jumped out to you.
That would have jumped out.
You also had indicated you couldn't remember if Miss Grinstead's car door was unlocked. Is that
I don't remember, but I don't think it was locked.
And that's what I was going to ask you, sir. If you had a specific memory of whether it was locked or not locked when you opened the door into the car.
I don't.
You don't remember.
I don't remember, but I just don't think it was locked.
Well, let me go ahead and just turn your attention to page 11, sir, of this same summary. In the last paragraph, sir, of that it's in the 4th line from the bottom. If you want to read that to yourself silently and tell me if that assists you in remembering.
I don't remember unlocking the trunk.
Well, let me ask you this, sir. Does that refresh your memory as to whether or not the car door was
Yeah.
unlocked? It does. Okay, you can put that away now, sir.
Yeah.
So, having refreshed your memory now by looking at this, was the car door unlocked or locked?
Must have been unlocked.
And to you, that was odd, correct?
Yeah.
She always locked her car door?
I thought she did.
And so when you went inside, there was no evidence and you didn't see anything that suggested there had been any kind of struggle inside the house?
Other than a bunch of girls in and out of her house that day.
Right. And from what I understand, it was, from what you could see, it was pretty consistent with a whole bunch of girls getting ready for a pageant on Saturday morning. So did you have an occasion to talk with Tara about Anthony Vickers?
Do I?
Did you have a chance to talk with Tara directly about Anthony Vickers?
Yeah.
And it was a communication between you and she, personally?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the court reporter here needs you to answer so that she knows what you're saying. Every day we use those head nods and stuff, but so you talked with her about Anthony Vickers.
Yeah, that was the only person she ever told me that she was afraid of.
And she did tell you she was afraid of Mr. Vickers?
Yeah.
And I guess there was an incident once at a baseball game that she got so scared that she never went alone again after that, right?
Right.
That she always asked you to go with her?
Right.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any follow-up, Ms. Hart? Read your record.
Mr. Portier, did Tara ever indicate to you whether or not she had a romantic relationship with Anthony Vickers?
No, she did not. She was just being nice to him.
Okay.
Teacher.
So did she tell you that, or was that your assumption based on knowing her?
That was just my assumption. She never did say that.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that Tara had his number saved in her cell phone?
No, it wouldn't.
Why is that?
Well, since he was a student, and I think he had some problems out at the private school and had to come back to the public school, and I think she was just trying to help him.
Okay. And that information, did you get that from Tara or from just hearing her around town, or do you know?
Just me.
Okay. Now, a couple of things, and again, I understand it's been a long time ago, but I do have some questions about, defense counsel just asked you some questions, so I want to ask you about the statement you gave back then. Do you recall, again, I know you were out at the deer stand, but on that Saturday, do you recall ever finding out if Tara came over to your house to visit with Miss Myrtle while you were gone?
That Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she come over and told my wife for me to come over to see Mary Beth.
What about after that? Do you remember her having come over in the afternoon to see Miss Myrtle?
I think she come and sat with my wife a little while.
Okay. Now, when Tara would come over to your house, do you know if she normally locked her door or not?
I don't.
Okay. You also, on Sunday when you got home, you already talked to defense counsel about that, but do you recall if Tara's car was home when you got home that Sunday?
That Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was there.
Okay. Do you remember if it was daylight or dark when you got home that Sunday?
I don't. It's probably fixing to be dark.
I understand. Okay. Had you ever been in Tara's bedroom before that particular morning?
Hard to say. I don't know. I don't remember if I was.
Gotcha. I guess my question is, did you really have anything to compare it to? That particular day when you saw it on Monday morning, the way it was, did you really have anything to compare it to know how she normally kept it?
I don't.
Okay. And it's page 10 of the document you sent to me. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Sure.
I'm going to show you that same document that defense counsel just showed you, the summary that law enforcement did from your interview back in 2005. This particular paragraph, second paragraph on the page, let me get you to read down to the end of this sentence to yourself. Let me know when you're done, please.
If I may, in order to refresh his recollection, he's got to indicate he doesn't remember, and if I know this question, and he said he doesn't remember.
I asked it on direct, Judge. It specifically relates to whether or not he went to work that day. I asked it multiple times.
Okay.
That Monday. Okay. Having read that, does that refresh your recollection about whether or not you actually went to work that Monday before you went over to Tara's house?
No, I never did go to work that morning.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you think your memory about what happened would have been better back in 05 or better now?
Probably been better in 05.
Okay. I understand. Mine would be too. I believe that's all my questions.
Just brief follow-up, Your Honor.
Sure.
May I approach? I'm going to hand that back to you, sir, just in case you don't remember. Do you recall Tara Grinstead telling you that Anthony Vickers beat on the door to her house so hard that he left blood?
Yeah.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right. Any follow-up?
Okay.
Mr. Portier, thank you for your testimony, sir. I'm going to excuse you this time. The only thing I'm going to ask you is don't discuss the testimony you've given to this jury this afternoon with any other witness until the case is concluded, okay?
Okay. What if I want to leave town on a mini vacation?
I think that'd be fine.